It's 8-bit, you little shit, that's right, punk. Just rage and quit, I don't care, don't give a fuck. It is time for me to go level up.
So I think we all know at this point that the Sega CD and the Sega 32X were add-ons that were created basically as life support for the Sega Genesis. But we ain't talking about Sega 32X for this video. No, we talk about Sega CD, and we're mostly going to be focusing on the end of its lifespan. Sega CD was not doing too hot. A lot of the games that was coming out weren't that great. You had a couple of good ones, but for the most part, the bad games more outweighed the good games. And this was one of the last games they ever shipped over here. We talking about one of the Mac daddies of bad Sega CD games, and one of the worst attempts at trying to make a mascot-driven platformer. We've talked about a lot of bad Sonic-type rip-off games, but now we got one coming straight from Sega themselves. We looking at Wild Woody. So you probably heard other people on the internet talk about this game. They said it really sucks, that it sucks hard PP, it's fucking terrible. But I'm just here to tell y'all, they are absolutely right, because this game is not very good. As for the plot of the game, you have this magic totem pole that comes to life, and they all break apart because they're possessed by some kind of evil spirit or something that wants to take over the world. They all jump into various different areas, and so it's up to the bottom of the totem pole to create a hero that'll stop all of his evil brothers. And what does he create? A sentient pencil that's trying to do a Jim Carrey from The Mask impression.
You got a name, Leadhead? Call me Woody. Wild Woody! Alright! My creative juices are flowing now!
That's no bullshit either. They really wanted Jim Carrey to do it, and he wouldn't do it. It didn't bring in the Dumb and Dumber 2 money, so unfortunately they couldn't get him. So the game is broken up into 6 different levels as Wild Woody, this magic talking pencil with cartoon abilities, is able to go into all these different worlds and has to get each of the evil heads of the totem pole back to their original place before they can destroy the world or some shit. So from there you go into various worlds, like you go into a sci-fi comic book, and you go into a painting of Mount Olympus, home of the Greek gods, and you go into a pirate themed, and so you're like on the 7 seas and going up against pirates and mermaids and shit. You go into a graveyard and you're fighting off zombies like you was Michael Jackson in the Michael Jackson Sega Genesis game, except that was actually a good Sega Genesis game. The plot of the game itself really ain't that bad, and honestly it makes me wish that the game was a lot better, because there is some creativity here. This is the kind of shit that you could only do in the 90s that you don't see in a lot of modern games these days, at least not mainstream ones. But it feels like the story itself is just kind of an afterthought. They just came up with the idea of, oh, wacky talking pencil mascot who makes wisecracks and funny voices and shit. And then they just kind of came up with the story after that, like, oh yeah, magic totem pole brought him to life. Evil totem pole heads want to destroy the world or some shit. I don't know. We're fucking Sega. We're on top of the world right now, baby. We got a new console coming out. It's here where the actual game itself starts to kick in. Like, we gotta talk about the graphics, right? The graphics in the game itself don't actually look all that bad, like in the gameplay sections. They actually look like a pretty standard 95 kind of 16-bit game, but the CG graphics themselves during the story cutscenes, they look fucking awful. And it's even sadder to learn that this was apparently motion captured. This was the best motion capture technology could do. All right, this ain't no Polar Express Tom Hanks ass level of this kind of technology, okay? This right here, this is no bueno. But the actual in-game graphics themselves, I mean, it doesn't look great, but it looks fine as a 16-bit game. It's not that impressive by 95 standards, but it looks fine. Looks better than the cutscenes and the story sections. And then you get to the controls themselves, and guess what? The controls also suck donkey dick. This is one of those games where it feels like it's not finished, all right? There are several times where you're supposed to jump and you can just barely make lands. You gotta be precision, on point with your jumps. There are some times where you're supposed to climb up rope or chains or whatever to get to higher platforms, and sometimes he just won't do it. Woody just won't climb. The only way you're able to take out enemies is if you jump on top of them and then hit one of the buttons so that you can erase them, because that's what a pencil can do, obviously. But it's one of those attacks where, more often than not, you're gonna end up taking damage because the precision is such shit, you don't know how you're supposed to get on top of them without getting hit and actually take out the enemies themselves. They do give you some power-ups. They give you some abilities, like you're able to draw extra things into existence that'll help you get to higher platforms or help you take out certain enemies in a flash. But this really doesn't work, because these are some of those power-ups in games where it works in the short term, but in the long run it's really going to fuck you over, because what it ends up doing is it ends up taking off a large chunk of Woody himself. He ends up getting smaller. There is a way for you to get power-ups to make yourself bigger again. It's just one of those games where you just try to like speed along and just try to get from platform to platform and get from beginning to the end of the stage, but there's just so much shit in your way, and the controls are terrible, to the point where it's just one of those games that people play like 2 levels of and then they give up, and really, I can't blame any of them. So you're probably wondering, well shit, I mean, with a game this bad, is there anything in it worth salvaging? And actually, you know what? There is. The one good thing about this game is the music. There's a lot of classic 90s rock, grunge, thrash, even some early elements of nu metal in here, and I'm not even fucking around, I'm not even playing. The music in this game, actually genuinely good. In fact, it turns out that one of the musicians that worked on this game actually went on to become a guitarist for Guns N' Roses. And when I found that out, I was blown away. I'm like, yo, that explains a lot, because nothing for nothing, the soundtrack to this game, genuinely good. It's the kind of game soundtrack that's way too good for a piece of shit game like this. All in all, it's easy to see why Wild Woody did not sell a lot of copies when it initially came out. It's not the kind of game that's worth running out and playing. I mean, the entire time I'm thinking this is just like their attempt at trying to make a game that's similar to something like Earthworm Jim. But Earthworm Jim actually had the advantage of it had good gameplay, and even when Earthworm Jim got difficult, it was the kind of game that you wanted to keep playing. There's nothing like that in this. Aside from the good music, there's just nothing here to make you want to keep playing, because the controls suck, the graphics suck, everything about it aside from the music sucks. And it was at this point I was like, you know what, Wild Woody is just so fucking bad. I think I'm done doing Swigga game reviews. I don't know, maybe every once in a while I can do it again, but I gotta say, I've been doing this since 2017. Doing this for about 9 years now, going on 10. I think it's about time we close the chapter on this, you know? Much like the other MC Swigga led series throughout this channel's history. I don't know. I think Swigga Game Reviews is done for now. But anyways, y'all, tune in next month where I'm going to be doing my 2-week-long docu-series about the Philips CDI.